There's a place on Earth where people can literally walk above the clouds. At Mount Roraima, a giant, flat-topped mountain rises so high that thick clouds constantly surround its base, making the top look like a floating island in the sky. What makes this place even stranger is that it inspired the idea of the lost world, a hidden land cut off from the rest of Earth. Scientists discovered plants and animals there that exist nowhere else on the planet. Some species evolved separately for millions of years because the cliffs are almost impossible to climb naturally. The mountain is also one of the oldest geological formations on Earth, estimated to be around 2 billion years old. Waterfalls pour from the edges into the clouds below, creating scenes that look completely unreal. Imagine standing on top of a mountain so isolated that it feels like another world floating above Earth itself. There's a waterfall on Earth that disappears completely underground. At Devil's Kettle, a river splits into two waterfalls. One side continues flowing normally, but the other side vanishes into a giant hole in the rocks, and for years, nobody knew where the water went. Scientists dropped ping-pong balls, dye, and tracking devices into the hole, but nothing ever appeared downstream. This led to wild theories claiming the water flowed into hidden caves, underground oceans, or even unknown parts of the Earth. The mystery became so famous that people called it one of America's strangest natural phenomena. Eventually, researchers discovered the water likely rejoins the river underground through hidden rock tunnels. But even today, watching an entire waterfall disappear into darkness feels unreal. Imagine standing next to a river and seeing half of it simply vanish into the Earth. Some places on this planet still look like glitches in reality. There's a desert on Earth where people have never seen rain in their entire lifetime. The Atacama Desert is considered the driest non-polar place on the planet. Some areas of this desert have gone hundreds of years without receiving a single drop of rain. Scientists even use parts of the Atacama to test Mars rovers because the environment is so similar to the surface of Mars. But what's truly strange is that despite being one of the harshest places on Earth, life still exists there. Tiny microbes survive hidden inside rocks, feeding on moisture pulled directly from the air. And then something unbelievable happened in 2015. After rare rainfall, the dead-looking desert suddenly exploded with color. Millions of dormant flower seeds that had been buried for years instantly bloomed, turning the dry wasteland into a giant field of pink and purple flowers. Imagine a place so lifeless that it looks like another planet, suddenly transforming into a living garden overnight. Earth always finds a way to surprise us. There's a hole in Earth so deep that humans had to stop digging because the planet started fighting back. In Kola Super Deep Borehole, scientists spent over 20 years drilling deeper into Earth than ever before. Their goal was simple: reach as far into the planet's crust as possible and discover what was hidden below us. They eventually reached more than 12 kilometers deep, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. But the deeper they drilled, the stranger things became. Temperatures underground became far hotter than expected, reaching over 180 degrees Celsius. The rocks began behaving almost like plastic, making drilling nearly impossible. Scientists also discovered microscopic fossils deep underground that were over 2 billion years old, proving ancient life once existed in places nobody imagined. And then came the rumors. Stories spread online, claiming researchers heard terrifying sounds echoing from deep within the hole, leading people to nickname it the Well to Hell. While those stories were exaggerated, the real mystery remains. Humans have explored more of space than the inside of our own planet. We live on Earth, but we barely know what's beneath our feet. There's a place on Earth where gravity doesn't seem to work properly. At the Hoover Dam, visitors discovered something strange. If you pour water near certain parts of the dam, it doesn't fall straight down. Instead, strong upward air currents push the water upward, making it look like gravity is broken. People throw small objects, pour drinks, or spray water into the air and watch it float or rise unexpectedly. Videos from the dam went viral because it looks almost impossible, but the explanation is just as fascinating. The massive curved structure of the dam creates powerful winds and air pressure changes that can overpower gravity for lightweight things like mist or droplets. And honestly, that's what makes Earth so interesting. Sometimes nature creates moments that look like glitches in reality. Imagine standing at one of the largest dams on Earth, throwing water downward and watching it fly back up toward the sky. For a few seconds, it feels like the laws of physics simply stopped working. There's a beach on Earth where the sand actually sings. On Singing Beach, the sand produces strange squeaking and humming sounds when people walk across it. Locals have heard the sounds for centuries, and many once believed the beach was haunted. The reason is incredibly rare. The sand grains are unusually round and contain a special amount of silica. When they rub together under the right conditions, they vibrate and create sound, almost like tiny musical instruments beneath your feet. And this doesn't happen on most beaches. In fact, only a few places in the entire world have singing sand. Imagine walking alone on a quiet beach and hearing the ground literally whisper back at you. Earth has some seriously strange secrets. There's a lake on Earth that can turn animals into stone. In Lake Natron, the water is so alkaline that its pH level is close to ammonia. The lake contains massive amounts of sodium carbonate, a chemical once used in ancient Egyptian mummification. When animals like birds accidentally crash into the lake, the water quickly calcifies their bodies, preserving them like stone statues. Photos of these animals look so eerie that many people thought they were fake, but they're real. The lake can also reach temperatures over 60 degrees Celsius, making it one of the harshest environments on Earth. And yet somehow, life still survives there. Millions of flamingos actually breed around the lake because the dangerous conditions keep predators away. So in one place, the water can preserve dead animals like ancient fossils, while also becoming a safe home for thousands of living birds. Earth is terrifying, beautiful, and unbelievable at the same time. There's a cave on Earth where the air can literally kill you in seconds. Hidden near Naples is the Cave of Dogs, a strange cave filled with invisible carbon dioxide gas leaking from volcanic activity underground. The gas stays low to the ground, which creates a terrifying effect. Humans standing upright usually survive because their heads remain above the toxic air, but smaller animals entering the cave can lose consciousness within moments. For centuries, locals believed the cave was cursed or connected to the underworld because animals would mysteriously collapse while people nearby stayed completely fine. Early travelers were horrified by what they saw and thought supernatural forces lived there. What makes it even creepier is that the cave looks completely normal. No warning signs from nature, no strange colors, no obvious danger, just invisible gas silently filling the space. Scientists later discovered the real explanation, but the cave still feels terrifying because it reminds us of something unsettling. Some of the deadliest places on Earth don't look dangerous at all. Sometimes, the scariest things in nature are the ones you can't even see. There's a waterfall on Earth that looks like it's flowing with blood. In blood falls, dark red water pours out from the middle of a giant glacier, creating one of the creepiest sights on the planet. Early explorers were terrified because they thought the glacier was somehow bleeding. For years, nobody understood what caused it. But scientists later discovered that the water comes from an ancient underground lake trapped beneath the ice for millions of years. The water is extremely salty and rich in iron. When it reaches the surface and touches oxygen, the iron rusts, turning the water deep red, just like blood. What makes this even more fascinating is that tiny microbes have survived in this hidden lake without sunlight or fresh air for millions of years. Scientists now study bloodfalls to understand how life might survive on frozen planets like Mars or the icy moons of Jupiter. Imagine standing in the middle of Antarctica and seeing a glacier that appears to bleed into the snow. Earth can look more alien than space itself.
There's a forest that is actually growing underwater. Off the coast of Alabama, scientists discovered an ancient underwater forest buried beneath the ocean floor for nearly 60,000 years. The trees were perfectly preserved because they were trapped under layers of sand with almost no oxygen reaching them. When a powerful hurricane exposed the area, divers found giant tree stumps still standing upright, as if the forest had frozen in time. Some of the wood was so well preserved that it still smelled fresh when cut open. Scientists believe this forest existed during the Ice Age, long before modern human civilization even began. Back then, sea levels were much lower, and this area was dry land filled with massive cypress trees. Think about that for a second. There are entire ancient worlds hidden beneath our oceans that humans have never seen. And the creepiest part, the forest slowly disappears again as sand covers it back up, hiding it from the world like a real-life lost civilization.